Welcome back, everybody, to the ESL Mobile Open. I'm Glitter Explosion.
And I'm in Barum.
And we are moving right along straight into our leaderboards here for Clash Royale. And this is probably the most insane of all of the insane changes that we have seen this week yet, Paul.
Arriba! Up there at the top. Oh my goodness. There were expectations. Glitter, there were expectations. Jaco, Zod, Ruby, they have been up there over and over again at the top, and they've just been slipping, sliding down that leaderboard, and Ariba able to take it here in week number 4 out of nowhere to take that #1 spot.
Yeah, we have literally talked about every single name on this list in previous weeks, with the exception of our first and second place. I just, how our first and second place players have managed in the final moments to sneak into a solid first and second place position. I mean, I was not prepared for that. I'm not gonna lie.
I was floored. There were storylines we were developing with all these other players. We were looking. It's the week over week. It's the consistency. It's how the meta's evolving, what decks they're bringing out, how the pro play is influencing. And now it's all out the window. We got new players. We got new names, but that's what the Mobile Open is all about. And who better to break down all the action than Rich Slayton? So let's send it over to him to tell you what happened this week.
Thanks, Paul and Glitter. I'm Rich Slayton from Clash Royale League, and this is your Week 4 check-in for the ESL Mobile Open in North America. Big shakeups this week, both in the leaderboards and in the meta. Let's kick things off by looking at our deck of the week. The top deck this week is Lava Miner ebarbs. This deck, of course, a variation on the long-standing Lava Miner archetype, often with barbarians, often played with guards, but Lava Miner ebarbs, of course, yet another deck benefiting from how strong the elite barbarians are right now. And this deck in particular, this construction is doing well because of how popular the Electro Giant is, and this deck matches up very well. Whether it's playing defense and then turning into big-time counter pushes, or going opposite lane when someone overcommits early with that 8 elixir Electro Giant, this deck has a pretty solid matchup over one of the most popular decks in the meta right now, and is a mainstay of competitive play in this ESL event. Top score on ladder so far of 74-34, so maybe if you pick it up, you'll be the first person to push this one to 8K. Talking about shakeups, of course, there's been some changes in the standings. Jaco, Ruby, and Zod, 3 mainstays so far in the top 3, all have fallen out of the podium for the moment. Still ranked, still in that top 10, but none of those 3 currently on the top of the leaderboards. Of course, Bachi, who was our #1 last week, has also fallen a bit, and they all have to be careful because Kazim, the American, now 4-0, creeping up behind them. But the important thing here is now we have 2 new players on top of the leaderboard. First, let's take a look at our second place player, Alex. Alex, 1199, shot up the ranks on the back of a 5-game winning streak, has been in the mix for a while, but this run took him almost all the way to the top, and he's done it with great deck variants. Some players have been not quite one-tricking, but definitely leaning on certain archetypes throughout this event, but Alex has been playing Royal Giant decks, Electro Giant, Mega Knight Graveyard, P.E.K.K.A. Graveyard, double bait Royal Hogs, and even an excellent snipe against our leader with 3 Musketeers. In fact, he is the only player in this competition so far to take a match off our new #1 player, and a big part of that is his deck selection. Talking about that #1 player, there's a new man on top, and his name is Arriba, but he spells it with 2 E's. Arriba, top player right now, #1 overall in the competition, and he has been doing it primarily based off that deck that we featured earlier, that Lava Miner ebarbs deck. He has played that to absolute perfection, made some good choices in going to other archetypes throughout this event to keep getting those wins, and he has faced almost everybody. And again, like I said before, the only person to take him out so far is our #2, Alex, 1199. Ariba, no one knows who he is so far. No one knows that this is a mini or the main account, but we do know is that he is playing phenomenally well and currently #1 in our standings. Now that we're all caught up with our standings, let's go ahead and jump into our game of the week, featuring a contender who has just fallen out of the top 3 in Zod, up against a player trying to push his way up in those rankings, the Master. And here we go. The Master top of your screen, Zod at the bottom. The Master running a graveyard variation. Zod running what looks like Giant Double Prince. We'll see if the Classic Prince is in this deck as well as we get deeper into this matchup. The Master cycling Skeletons to open things up and setting down with the Goblin Hut. We'll keep those spawners coming in throughout the 3 to 5 minutes of gameplay here. And yes, Giant Dark Prince, and you see the Classic Prince in the hole there for Zod as well. So going very, very classic meta here is our one-time top 3 player in Zod. And this push getting stopped fairly easily, and a pretty heavy counter push going the opposite direction. That zap will clean it up pretty easily, and it does. No significant damage. First 45 seconds away, 24-67, the only damage done so far on that bottom right-hand tower of Zod. And we do see just some cycle play out of the Master as he sets up his next Goblin Hut. Maybe about an elixir ahead. As the Mega Minion does get set up, Dark Prince down low. Classic Prince ready to go if necessary, but now going to put that Giant on roller skates with the Dark Prince pushing behind. Baby Dragon working on defense right now for the Master. Plenty of DPS. We'll see at what point Zod starts to push, though. Zod has plenty of defensive answers here, especially in single and even double elixir. The big question is going to be, of course, how he defends those graveyards as they come in. Can you defend effectively and turn into a counter push? Fireball, of course, not optimal for a graveyard. Zap can clear things off, though. Dark Prince could be worse. Ewiz could be worse. And that Barb Barrel forces out. Wow. Does not pull the Prince correctly into the Goblin Hut. Forces the Valkyrie to be played, and just like that, the tables have turned. Slight elixir lead now for Zod as we go into double elixir time, and he sets up into the Valkyrie in the left-hand lane. Baby Dragon, Mega Minion now for the Master, still pressuring the right-hand side with that Goblin Hut, and Skeletons do not pick up the Miner quite correctly for the Master. So little mechanical errors so far for the Master early on. And those will begin to stack up. Speaking of stacking up, 2 Princes on the right-hand side, Classic and Dark Prince now with the Giant behind. But good tank is in the left-hand lane. Fireball clears one out. Graveyard going to do some significant damage here. Zap does stop things, but that's still a huge blow on the left-hand lane. A massive blow on the left-hand lane. Oh my word, down to 530, 397 HP. But look at the damage on the right-hand side done at the exact same time here by Zod. As we go into sudden death overtime, 1373 to 397. Difficult task for Zod here to play defense. The Master in a pretty good spot now that we are in double elixir final 2 minutes and has a massive lead, a huge advantage at the moment. Has to be careful not to overcommit on the left. Just let the win come as it may, and this poison cycle going to be good here for the Master as the Giant goes to the right-hand side. Dark Prince sets up behind. Classic Prince to the left-hand lane. This Goblin Hut giving fits and nightmares as well for Zod as he tries to break into that next level. Second Giant down now. Dark Prince not able to get to those stab or spear goblins coming out of the Goblin Hut, but now working on that Valkyrie. New Goblin Hut down to pull. Miner going to work on the back end. Fireball comes in trying to get that Giant on tower. Zap, a nice zap there to get the DPS off the board. And now just like that, 347 to 213. This is very close, folks. Final minute on its way. Triple elixir incoming. Graveyard down on the left-hand side. Dark Prince cycle maybe a stab early there for Zod. Ewiz trying to work against the poison. Fireball trying to get in there and doesn't do it in time. Could not get enough damage on the right-hand side. The Skeleton stacked up in a big win for the Master. You gotta love those close finishes coming down to the wire. The Master played smart defense, a couple technical errors there early on, but nothing he couldn't recover from. Controlled the Giant Double Prince, caught the Miner at the end, which was so key there, keeping the damage off tower and getting the pressure on just right. GG, well played. I know you're watching at home going, hey, I can play better than that. Well, put your money where your mouth is. Go to play.esl.com and sign up, and maybe we'll see you next week here for another ESL Mobile Open North American recap and Clash Royale. I'm Rich Slayton. See you next time. Back to you, Paul and Glitter.
I mean, you heard it there. If you want to be involved, if you want to sign up for Clash Royale, exclamation point sign up, that's the place to do it right here. Another insane week, so close. Nail biters there at the end, but still, got to give props to all the players who made it here and the crazy upsets we've been seeing all episode long. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning into our mobile open recap again this week. Your support means a lot to us, and it would mean even more if you could hit that like and subscribe button down below the video. Make sure you stay up to date with all the content that we're releasing here on the channel, all the best mobile esports action, and you don't want to miss it.